been that long.
It's been so long that Twitch no longer thinks I am who I said I am.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how you know we're running a tight ship and constantly keeping up to date with our content.
I mean, if we had to guess off the top of our heads, when do you think the last time we were doing this was?
Well, I cheated because I looked at the YouTube channel. So March 21st.
March 21st. It is now August 23rd.
Yeah,
a casual 5 months later. The nice thing is that only really one Magic the Gathering set has been released, if you think about it.
March 21st. I mean, before we get to
March
that,
21st. It
hello.
is now August. Oh, right,
23rd.
yes. We are the Magic Box, the video/audio/interactive.
You may remember us from the thing we used to do all the time.
All the time. We have now downgraded to almost never.
Yeah, and I do feel bad about that sometimes.
Aw, I'm glad you do, because
it went from like weekly to bi-weekly to monthly to
if a set
came out to now it's like, you know. And
I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but yeah, you know, you're busier than I am.
Well, and I get a lot of people, because we originally have been recording this live. You know, we would do it after cube drops, you know, at my place. And
if you're familiar with the old catalog, you know the old set.
Right. And people always ask me, because when I see people, like, I saw people like Grand Prix San Diego when I was down there, and people like, oh, you know, why don't you guys record more? And the thing I always hear is, well, you guys should just do it over Skype.
Right.
Like, it's the same thing.
Like the traditional podcasters do.
My whole opinion on the Skype thing is that this whole thing started as, like, we were having this conversation in person anyway, so we might as well record it and make it a thing.
Right.
It's a lot harder for me to get in the mood, so to speak, you know what I mean? Like, over Skype.
Yeah,
it feels more artificial.
Yeah, you're a lady. You're not a $10 trick, as it were.
That's a weird way to put all of this.
You need to be romanced into wanting to talk about Cube this often.
Well, and it's also, you know, we were I mean, I feel bad I haven't played Cube nearly as much as I want to.
That's true. You know, not making it to Vegas this year for the big event definitely put a hamper on that.
But, you know, maybe making it to Vegas for the smaller events.
Yeah, we did talk about that. We actually have some other stuff we got to talk about.
Yeah, lots of stuff we got to talk about. It's
true.
been literally months.
Well, right. But I mean, outside of the most cubing, but we should all do the Invitational in December for Star City Games in Nevada. We should cube a lot there, for sure.
I concur.
Pre-release weekend, though, is the A's versus Giants.
Months.
Well, right. But I mean, outside of the months for us, we should make that happen, too.
Probably.
Yes. No reason not to. That's how I look at it. But that is all tangential to why we're here this evening. It has been so long. You know, last time we talked about Dragons of Tarkir coming out. And something we didn't prepare for today, but something I definitely want to do in the future, is I like to have accountability a little bit on, you know, my picks, the kind of the way things play out. We have a little bit of that in the show notes today in terms of the broader picture, but I do like the idea of going back, looking at a set impact implications.
Yeah, I definitely have had people, you know, what'd you put in Magic Origins? Where's the set review? So we will get to that today, among some other kind of catch up.
It's this weird reverse engineering type thing now, because we've gone through it. I mean, I've played with the cards a little bit,
right? And it's more that, you know, we weren't ahead of the game like we normally are with the preview. You know, a lot of times we try and do the set review like once the full spoiler drops,
right? As
opposed to this time where it's like, now we can almost do like a weird post-mortem of like, this is what we added and this is what was good or what was bad.
Which is generally what I like about, you know, for a little while Evan Irwin tried to do this, where he wouldn't even update his list online until it was the set was one step behind, to kind of have the implications of the changes that he would make. I like to, you know, kind of get in the spoiler season mood, kind of go with that fervor, get people excited, want to play with the cards. But there's definitely plenty of learning lessons to have after the fact. And there's who doesn't love when you get the opportunity to point out when I'm wrong.
Quick non sequitur for the live audience, because it's been a while, and also I had some computer failures in the interim. If the stream is screwed up at all, like the audio is off or the video or something's messed up, tell me in chat, because I don't know, and there's so much stuff that got I had to redo from scratch. We
lost the whole hard drive. We lost most of our archives.
Yeah, I had a cascading hard drive failure in my power supply.
All of our sweet motion graphics we don't have anymore. So
all the CGI got scrapped.
Back to the basics. Yeah. All of our green screen work is gone.
Speaking of back to the basics, though, we can do some picks.
All right, pick one, pack one.
It's been a while. Remember how this works?
I'm interested to know how you know how this works, because I at least drafted in the last decade.
Well, let's not get rude.
Okay.
All right.
Tell the audience that's listening to this what we're looking at.
All right. We are looking at the Pick One, Pack One. The pack contains Taiga, Armageddon, Spear of Heliod, Fungal Reaches, Creeping Tar Pit, Slagstorm, Trigon Predator, Oath of Druids, Hero of Oxid Ridge, Isamaru, Hound of Konda, City of Brass, Geist of St. Traft, Recurring Nightmare, Counterspell, Sphinx of the Steel Wind. What do you like?
I feel like
there's some build-around me's here, which are always fun.
I guess. I feel like I'm going to be unpopular and unfun as usual.
Do you take Oath?
Probably, and if I don't take Oath,
it's right in the middle of the graphic, too. If you're on the audio side, you can't see it. Oath is the center card.
Yeah. If you deconstruct it for the way X talking, it probably also kind of pans out that way. The 3x5 grid. I mean, the cards that immediately pop out to me are Oath, Recurring Nightmare, and Counterspell. 2, yes, build around me magic cards for sure. Although I think you could argue that Armageddon is also a kind of a build around me
sort
card.
of.
And Counterspell happens to be the only true blue card, and is raw power is there. So if we were, let's say we were playing for stakes here, I would probably be taking.
I think I'm still stamping off Recurring Nightmare even for stakes.
That's
I love that deck.
That's why I'm glad we draft together, because that's like among my pick order when I'm doing this for real. It's number 3 behind.
I mean, let me rephrase it. If we're like really, really doing this for stakes, it's probably just Hero of Oxid Ridge because red's just the best color in cube.
Wow, still.
Just snap mono red.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad that we can bring another card into the mix here because avenues that I would think about going down are taking Armageddon with the interest of getting back either Glorious Anthem or Savannah Lions. Armageddon does have that raw power level. Obviously Counterspell being the only blue card, you do get to send a signal in the draft. A little bit, with Cube, it is a little more difficult.
It's so hard to signal in Cube, though.
It is, but people kind of organically get the message, right. I feel like. Your opponent isn't... Sorry, the person sitting on your left isn't going to take a blue card. You know that.
Right. It's
true. So that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
All of that said, I do think Oath is... This is the perfect time to get Oath. Right. You have the most time to build around it. And we've had lengthy conversations on the show in the past about how to build an Oath deck, exactly how an Oath deck works. I do feel like, in many ways... We pioneered that card, which now happens to be in the MTGO cube. Now,
is this like a hipster thing? Like we were doing it before it was
totally.
Cool? Okay.
And I'm not usually one of those kind of people.
I just wasn't sure where you were coming from on that. Like,
we definitely. I mean, we've had failures. We tried with Oversold Cemetery and Oath of Ghouls.
We tried so hard.
Yeah, oh God, and those didn't exactly pan out the way Oath of Druids did. But Oath of Druids, I do think pans out a lot. It's a very fun deck when you get the opportunity to construct it from the ground up. Here is your chance right now. It's as much fun as I want to have with the other cards. It's got to be my pick.
Yeah, I think I'm just taking Recurring Nightmare. It's the perfect middle ground of very fun to play, fun to draft, competitive. I mean, Recurring Nightmare allows some of the grossest sequences that you can really do in Cube, and it's a card that also goes infinite, which is nice depending on what you get, and it's just a good value card. Like if I'm playing black, it's almost always going to make the deck. And even if you have to get weird with it, you kind of play it as a traditional reanimation spell in some kind of strange shell. That's even valuable. Sack your Merfolk Looter to get your Gristlebrand back.
Nowadays it'd be Jace, but yeah,
sure. But spoilers. Also.
Well, we all know it's coming. Okay, Exodus rares are what we've decided to take here. Yeah,
it's the power set. All right, so let's move on now from our pick one, pack one to
a little 4-card mid-draft action.
Yeah. So, I don't know, do you remember how this works? For those of you who do not...
I believe we're going to be 4 picks deep in a draft, and we're going to get past 11 cards.
We're 4 picks deep. We're looking at 11 cards. So the idea is, what do you take given what you have?
Mm-hmm.
So, in this scenario, we are currently looking at a pretty saucy 4 cards of Black Lotus, Elspeth Sun's Champion, Memory Jar, and Maloku the Clouded Mirror.
Maybe a little bit of Identity Crisis? That seems like maybe a high memory jar, maybe not. I don't know.
You're like Lotus and 3 Haymakers. Sweet.
Okay, I will give you that. Well, Haymakers of different varieties, but definitely things that you can get out with a quick Lotus and be very devastating. Yeah.
Okay, so the 11 cards you're looking at contain Parallax Wave, Smother, Flame Slash, Master of the Wild Hunt, Spellskite, Mana Tithe, Seaside Citadel, Bant Charm, Tropical Island, Wall of Roots, and Sylvan Caryatid.
Very Banty pack.
A little Banty. That whole bottom, no, almost all of it. Banty.
Yeah.
So the card that jumps out to me almost immediately here is Spellskite.
Okay.
And
I see where you're coming from.
It's another card that you're not really sure if you're white or blue yet. You just have 2 artifacts and a white card and a blue card. It looks like you're probably going to be pretty slow. I mean, obviously Lotus kind of helps with that, but for the most part it looks like you're kind of probably going to be in some sort of controlling shell, and Spellskate's great there. It's a card that I think is undervalued in Cube, and just in general, because it really just drives, especially the red deck, just up the wall. It's so miserable to play against. You're just looking at a hand of all these lightning bolts and these goblin guides and whatever, and it's just so miserable.
Yeah, and you could also look at it as kind of like a misdirection with Suspend, or a misdirection with Fate. I don't know. I mean, like, it gets to sit there on the table. You could play it on an off turn. You have a steel wall at your disposal, but it also has the opportunity to protect one of these other big, higher impact cards. It's not at all ironic that it protects all 3 of your other big picks. Keeps people off your memory jar for artifact removal should you need it.
Sure.
The turn before you go off with it or whatever.
Can't Heroes Downfall your Elspeth.
Also true. So I wouldn't fault it. I definitely feels like a safe pick. If I wasn't going to take it, I would probably take Parallax Wave.
You have a far higher opinion of that card than I do, and I get it, like I do. But that's definitely where I thought you were going to go with this.
I mean, I still think we're both taking Spellskate.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't, Parallax Wave, I think I'm seeing this deck come together as something that has the opportunity to do lots of tricksy, blue-white, tricksy type things, or just use Parallax Wave as a falter effect to get through my opponent.
I mean, I know that you love the fact that you can get back Maloku with Revelark.
Oh, yeah, that's hot.
That's clearly, I think, where you're going.
I will probably draft a Revelark somewhere down the road in this deck.
We'll just slot that in. Just assume. It's the assumed 5th.
But to be fair, Spellskite also great friends with Revelark.
Very true. Very true.
So we're in agreement here.
That's Spellskite.
Spellskite.
Yeah. Okay. So the next scenario, similar setup. We are looking at our 4 picks being Harbinger of the Tides, Thragtusk, Clever Impersonator, and
that's Cogwork Librarian.
Cogwork Librarian,
which makes this super exciting.
Hill Giant. Okay. However, we have the potential to take. We can snap 2 out of this.
We can snap 2, bringing a whole new element to this scenario, which we have not done before.
No, this is exciting.
Conspiracy, a year old at this point.
This has still never come up.
Right.
The pack we're looking at is Tendrils of Agony, Duress, Volcanic Island, Condemn, Primeval Titan, Stagger Shock, Rolling Earthquake, Marsh Flats, Strip Mine, Raging Ravine, Crystal Shard. So, given our colors, there are really only 2 cards, that are in our colors that we would take here. The question is, do we take both?
Again, it's Cube Draft, so you can go pretty deep. Like, that Volcanic Island is definitely not off limits.
No, and neither is the Raging Ravine. And in fact, that's another 2. If you're interested in going into red, you just take both of those.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a 3rd color. You just lock in the rug.
I feel like if we only get 1 card out of this pack for sure, it's got to be Primeval Titan, though.
Yeah. The question is, is it Primeval Titan plus Strip Mine? Is it Primeval Titan plus Crystal Shard? Or is it just Primeval Titan? I think if you're taking Titan, one of those 2 cards is the potential 2nd pick for the Cogwork Librarian. They're not necessary. Strip Mine's obviously very powerful.
Right.
It's kind of funky in this deck with your 5s and 4s and your blue. But there's nothing to be said that we're even going to be, we can get the mana fixed later. Primeval Titan, I think, is the easy one. The question is there a 2nd pick?
Yeah, and looking at the 3 cards that aren't Librarian, the beauty of Thragtusk is it is only single green, so I don't feel like I'm necessarily playing a green deck, even though I'm looking at 4 blue mana symbols between 2 other cards.
Crystal Shard with Thragtusk, though. Woo, mama.
That is hot. That is very hot.
Woo, woo.
I also think that an interesting note here is if we didn't have the green card, I'd still probably just want Primeval Titan in general out of this pack. Maybe I'd want that.
I mean, I think Primeval Titan's the most powerful card in the pack. Arguably, then the only thing that comes close is Strip Mine. I think Strip Mine's better.
Right.
But this is not really looking like a deck that can maximize Strip Mine.
I do feel like Strip Mine is kind of mucking up this whole pick process.
Right, because it's such an outlier, but at the same time, it really is like a square peg in a round hole for what we have so far.
These double blues, and we want to be ramping.
Yeah, these 4s and 5s.
Yeah, like we don't want to be necessarily even losing a land drop ourselves.
Right.
Granted, though, it is a cube format. Odds of us getting some...
Fetching Strip Mine with Primeval Titan, though.
Right, and then clever impersonating your Primeval Titan? No. That can't make more Strip Mines. Damn it, I just want to make more Strip Mines.
Right. Can you clever impersonate Strip Mine? No, you can't.
No, you can't.
That'd be real good.
Yeah, that'd be a hot...
Blue Main Acceleration, baby. We're coming down to it. Primeval Titan...
I'm taking the Strip Mine and the Titan.
You're taking the Strip Mine and the Titan?
I'm taking the Strip Mine and the Titan.
Alright, you're cashing it in?
Yeah, I'm cashing it in.
I think I'm going to hold off. I think I'm just going to take Primeval Titan, but it's important that you use that Cogric Librarian kind of early. It's important that you don't just like sit on it forever.
The thing about a Cogric Librarian is I feel like it has two distinct strategies. It has the, I'm going to use this once when I really, really want it, and that could happen at any point in the draft. It probably happens near the end of the draft when I'm really clear what I need.
Right. It's a common Pack 3 move.
Yeah, or Pack 3. It'll happen a lot in Pack 1, because in Pack 2 it gets kind of pushed back your direction.
Right.
With the opportunity to cash it in again.
Yeah.
So you'll get more aggressive with it in Pack 1, being like, okay, I'm really starting to fill out a deck, I'm taking out cards of my color.
And I can get another round of this.
Yeah, and hopefully the guy 1 or 2 seats to my left will be like, yeah, this pack's pretty underwhelming. I'll just take this library and cash on it later, and then hopefully on the way, in Pack 2 you'll get it back.
Yeah. That's kind of a gamble,
right? Yeah.
I think it's worth at least considering. That was fun.
It's been a long time since we've done that.
I know. I haven't said the many card names in a row out loud in a long time.
Try to do it in a not super boring, everyone fall asleep fashion.
Well, you got to be clear for the audio.
It's true. There's a few things are worse than listening to one of these things and somebody goes too fast.
Right, you don't
just don't know what the card is, and it's like, do I try to rewind or right. Oh, there we go. You got the show notes up there for a second. I was trying to figure out what was next on my list. I'm gonna go in order. Because we can hammer out that Angels shit real fast, and that's like breaking news.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, all right. Trying to stay topical to what's going on in Magic Cube or in Magic culture in general right now. The release of From the Vault Angels. Should have told you guys you should have picked that shit up for sure. If you get it at retail.
Is there a From the Vault that you wouldn't pick up?
At retail?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, like, From the Vault Dragons is...
Like, in one of these windows, you could probably open up, like, what From the Vaults on TCG Player, what the sealed ones are worth.
Oh.
And that'll tell you what their long-term value is. Because there are definitely some that it's a comeback. Yes, it is.
How do you...
So, From the Vault... Like, if you just click on Angels and then click on Sealed... I know. I fucking hate this. And then can you just go... Like, under where it says From the Vault Angels, is that a clickable link? Or is that just going to send you to, like, the whole thing? No, the same thing.
Keep talking, I'll figure it out.
Anyway. In general, the From the Vault sets are good pickups. We're not going to get too MTG financy on anybody. The ones that I think are worth the least are probably Annihilation, Realms... This is probably worth... But, like, Realms even has, like, the what-have-you in it. So, yeah, like, Annihilation you can still pretty much get at retail.
Yeah.
And you gotta pay shipping or whatever. Like, so
From the Vault doesn't contain Damnation.
Right. So, I mean, if you can get these things for $35, you should definitely be doing it. But we weren't here to talk about things like that. We're here to talk about things about, in many ways... These sets are meant,
From the Vault, wow, that's insane.
I know, From the Vault Dragons, $200 casually, and I remember laughing when that product came out.
That's the TCG low, buddy.
Yeah. I remember laughing when those things came out. Really, is Legends worth that much?
Legends is 100 and something.
Jeez. I mean, that one makes it. From the Vault 20 being $130 makes
180
sense.
median.
There's a Jason there, man.
Alright. Oh man, it was so funny. So, we PPTQ'd yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And our friend Aaron, who we've known forever, we dragged him out to F&M for the first time in like 3 years. He hadn't touched a Magic card in a million years. We took him to F&M, gave him a deck. He 4-0'd because we gave him Hangerback Abzan, clearly very good. So that convinced him to come to the PTQ with us. And like, he had brought cards with him, like a box. He's like, oh, because we were talking about like cards are so crazy expensive, like Serum Visions are like $10. It's nuts. He's like, I have 1 million of those somewhere. So he dug through a bunch of boxes and he like brought them with. He's like, okay, we're gonna look through these and try and figure out like what's worth stuff. And like we're thumbing through it, And like she's like grab, $10 bill, grab, $30 bill, grab, $5 bill, and then like there's just a pile of tokens, and just randomly in the middle of the pile of tokens there's a Mind Sculptor.
Oh.
He's like, oh, whatever. Like it's just jammed in there. Like it was very funny. You're just like, oh, that's nice. Where was this a couple years ago before it got banned in every format?
So yeah, so From the Vault Angels, Mark Rosewater has said in the past that From the Vault sets, there was definitely a time where they were meant to be a supplementary product for things like Cube. Exiled, Relics, those were definitely times where you could see those products being made to help people like us that want to Cube. Angels kind of brings it back, I feel like. I definitely think that this is a set that hits on all cylinders. That's why, I'm sitting on some at home. I will definitely sell them somewhere down the line. I unloaded my From the Vault Legends a little too soon, it looks like.
But I just can never get into the whole MTG finance thing.
But okay, like things like this are super easy. You go to a local game store.
This is basically the equivalent of like packaged like bonds.
Yeah.
Like it's like an investment product. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have to buy stock. Just like go to your bank and hand them $1,000 or whatever, and they just hand you like, here's this packaged, refinance thing.
From the Vault Legends is 4 years old, not even 3.5 years old. In that time, it's doubled in value.
Yeah,
no, more than doubled. Sorry.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah,
but it's just
and it's one of those things where it's like a lot of like so the local game stores that I go to in the East Bay, you can get one at retail. You're a local you're a loyal customer. They'll often do the stores that I've seen. Probably Ruben even does this. You just sign up on the list.
Yeah.
You get your name on there. We used to buy a ton of them, and places used to do that.
A lot of times also they're like tournament rewards.
Oh, that's also a good way. I like stores that do that as well.
Yeah, like a sealed tournament, first place gets the From the Vault.
Yeah.
I think they're also just an easy, especially if you're going the direction of like the pimping out of a cube, where it's, we're going foils, we're going fancy, whatever. Those are obviously a very easy way to acquire some of the harder to get foils. Alternate arts are also nice.
They can be.
A lot of times they'll have cards in foil for the first time, or the only way to get them in foil, will be the From the Vault boxes. So that's always good.
Despite my affinity for original printings, first printings, and the kind of the uniformity and the hatred that we all have for the foiling process, I've still probably got like half a dozen or more From the Vault cards in my cube.
Well, I think once you choose down the path of foiling out a cube, just by the nature of them, you need to pretty much have all foils. I mean, it's one of those things where if it can be foiled, it should be foiled, because you don't want to get in a situation where like you can tell. That's one of one of the chief complaints about your cube, like from a physical standpoint. Obviously, it's very nice and the whole thing. Almost all the cards being foiled and then the lands being non-foiled can occasionally, depending on which foils it is, some of them get pretty bendy.
The basics, yeah.
So the basics are flat, and some of the foils are very C-shaped, so you can kind of tell, and that's a bit of a leak. But I understand like beta basics versus having.
Dude, the Zendikar foil basics I used to have in there were doing the weird like.
Yeah.
Both corners curl in curl where.
Yeah.
That was the absolute worst.
Yeah.
I hated that more than anything. Anyway, From the Vault products, great. This set, great. If we go tiny and bring up the spoiler, we can take a look at some of this artwork, some of these cards.
Sure.
We'll talk about kind of their cube playability. A surprising number of these I feel like have been in the cube before. Very few of them still are now.
I think for the most part, especially if you go back into the history of cube, when in the Wild West days, when cube was literally just all haymakers all the time, right? So From the Vault Angels, From the Vault Dragons, From the Vault whatever, all the big spell, box sets are just like, these cards were all in cube 6 years ago, or 7 years ago, or
as we go through this list, we will see even though
some of them still are, but it definitely is like a kind of a walk through the past.
I have not bought a Moto hockey jersey, although as much as I actually hate Moto now, I would still want one of those. I actually made one of my old ECH tilts. EA Sports Fantasy Hockey, the video game within the game. I had the Moto. The Moto jerseys are pretty funny. There's a European League team where their team's name is literally the Moto.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I was like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So up at the top, we've got two spectacular Achroma artworks from Therese Nielsen.
The artwork is definitely a big reason to snap off From the Vault sets, because they always have pretty good alternate arts.
And this is one of those weird times where like I've got a little from column A, a little from column B. If I was still running Achroma Angel of Fury, I would want that artwork.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good. I really like I mean, we'll get down to more of them. I like almost all the alternate arts in this set, in this box set. I mean, especially for like, like Therese Nielsen art is always one of those things where people like love it or hate it, and I think it's really appropriate, especially on like Angel cards. Like it looks a lot better in that context.
Conversely, though, Chroma Angel of Wrath, while nice artwork from this set, I'm sticking with the classic look.
I like the action pose of the original. That art has a lot of like motion to
jumping
it.
Off it. It's weird, but you can't see anything underneath her, so there's not a whole lot of scale in the photo.
Right, but she's like diving, kind of somebody. It's cool.
I do remember, like, she was on the Legion's packaging. It was on like the deck box.
It's very iconic for a long time.
There's a lot of, and I still have the unfortunate story. We were doing some Saturday pickup drafts. Onslaught Legions was we were practicing for was going to be one of the GP formats or something, and it was a Saturday at the shop, and my Legions pack, Migo was like fucking around. He was still a kid. He was just hanging out there, and he was like, "There's gonna be foil chroma in here. There's gonna be foil chroma in here." I was like, "All right, whatever. Let me open my pack." So there's a foil chroma in the pack.
Yeah.
I draft it, and I'm in the 2-0 bracket with Dave.
And lose.
No. Oh. Worse. We want to get another draft in to keep the day rolling, so it's like, oh, let's just roll off for first pick so we can draft again, because if we don't start in the next like 30 minutes,
oh god,
lose the die roll.
Lose the die roll.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, foil chroma, but even for back then.
I mean, as a $30 Magic card, that
which
was,
back then is like,
right?
You know, like that was.
You could have traded. You could have traded like 2.5 3 polluted deltas for that.
Oh yeah, I mean that was like almost a playset of Wrath of Gods.
Yeah. Yeah, when Wrath was
or like a playset of Birds of Paradise.
Remember when $10 was like the most expensive card in
Standard? That was like the ceiling.
Yeah.
Remember when like the best standard deck was like $25?
I don't know if it was that low.
Blue Green Madness?
It was like 40.
I don't know.
Because each of the uncommons got to be like $3 $4 cards.
Sure, but it was like nothing but uncommon. I don't think there's a rare in that whole thing.
So when thinking about chromas, you usually think about Blue Green Madness. As such. If I was running Angel of Fury, and I don't know, I mean, okay, we're actually going to talk more about Morphs later. I guess there's a non-zero chance that I could end up with a Chroma Angel of Fury back in my cube one day.
Sure, and that would be the one to get.
Definitely. Meanwhile, that Chroma Angel of Wrath, I like it. Therese, great work. Not going to happen for me. Archangel Strife, never going to be a cube card.
Right. I mean, that's just not a thing for us.
No. Aurelia, also really never going to be a cube card. I don't know anyone that actually plays that card.
That's close.
Come on, Gisella's so fucking good.
Right, I know. That card just kind of trumps this one.
I do wish that had been a Gisela.
Yeah.
Avacyn is a huge favorite among casuals. It's a huge favorite among Commander players. I have seen cubes with Avacyn in it. I don't hate it. I understand it.
I get it.
Yeah.
It ain't making me laugh, but I get it.
Yeah. I think when we get to cards...
How do you feel about this Exalted Angel art?
I really don't like it.
It's weird.
How is that not Twilight Shepherd?
Right. I think that's what everyone thought it was.
Right.
When it got spoiled.
I literally had to do like a triple take because I didn't get it. I looked at the cards.
Is Angel like in the KKK or something? Why did she get a hood on?
I don't.
It's weird.
I don't.
Why?
So they were so good with artworks. Why couldn't they have brought us the Judge promo artwork?
Right.
The Judge promo artwork for Exalted Angel is so sweet. And if I was going to add Exalted Angel back to the cube right now, I would probably go with the classic artwork, just because again, similar to the Achroma, we have so many memories of playing. I mean, talk about the card that was most expensive in Standard for a while. I mean,
yes.
we would definitely make trades based on how many Exalted Angels are things worth.
Right. It was a unit of measurement.
Yeah.
This Iona art is weird because it's hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah.
It's just like some stuff. She like wrapped in a bedsheet.
I don't know. It's like you took the original Iona artwork and she kind of laid down a little bit or something.
Yeah, it's like a weird upward angle.
Yeah.
It's awkward. This Iridescent Angel art is awesome.
Yeah.
Though. I love the way this looks. Unfortunately, Iridescent Angel is not going to make it ever.
It was in the cube 6 years ago.
Right. Again, a million years ago. If it cost 7, it was in the cube.
If we want to play 2009 cube, I will bust that bad.
Right.
I do have that list somewhere.
Do you? Nice.
Yes.
I'm very bummed. So, the Sarah Angel Rebecca Guay art is super cool.
Yeah.
You know, if Sarah Angel was ever going to make it, I think this would be the one to play.
Good.
Were you... I was kind of bummed. So, do you remember when they announced... When they were doing Scars of Mirrodin Block.
Okay.
And they announced that it was either going to be...
Oh, you want
New Phryxia or Mirrodin Pure or whatever it was?
Mirrodin Pure Platinum Angel-esque
right.
Dark
So there was a promo art... For people who don't know, there was a promo art like that they released for that was like
they commissioned it kind of with the intent to never use it, just for that
spoiler.
Yeah,
and it's I'll pull it up.
Yeah, it's like coated in dark steel.
So this is what it looks like, and it like I thought this would be baller art for Platinum Angel. I mean, I get that it's like, oh, it's dark steel, so it's not the same thing, whatever. This is still way cooler looking. I mean, and Platinum Angel is another very iconic art, but this looks really cool. I think this would have been in sweet art. That's just like for the box set.
Yeah, I agree. That is a good one.
It's also a little disappointing that, and I mean, I think this is going to happen for every From the Vault printing. So like, when From the Vault Annihilation got announced, people pitchforks and torches everywhere. How is there no Damnation in this?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, like people freaking out about no Resto Angel, or there are a lot of angels, so everyone like is mad that their favorite didn't make it.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know.
No Lindvala.
Okay, I think that's your biggest complaint for a financial standpoint. At the same time, like here we are complaining there's no Lindvala when the set is already at least worth double MSRP.
Sure, and it's. You know, but it's the whole like, oh, I wanted to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even stop and talk about, this legacy card, Entreat the Angels, that people love, is in there.
Sure.
Just because that Reckoner of Souls, what is it? Teriel?
I think, is this the first foil printing of this?
I don't know. I've had this conversation with people. I don't think it is. I don't know.
That's a weird card.
I think it was in, was that the one that was in Commander's Arsenal, or the other one was in Commander's Arsenal? I don't know.
Well, it was definitely a Commander product.
No, it was a Commander card. But was it so it was not in Commander's Arsenal.
Yeah, it's for Magic the Gathering Commander.
So maybe that is the first foil printing. Oh, excuse me. Who knows? End of the day, a lot of those cards have been in the cube.
Yeah, I mean, well over 3/4 of them, I think.
Yeah,
except for the pure multiplayer ones. So, yeah, it's definitely. Those are cards also that could make it, but I could see a world in which Entreat makes its way back in. Hypothetically.
I actually never played it, but...
Yeah, did we try?
No. It's so slow.
I don't know. There are a lot of those cards, though, that can make it in.
Great product to have. Definitely recommend it for your cube. Expect to see a lot of them from cube.
Yeah.
What was next?
So that was From the Vault Angels. Again, you'll have to apologize. We're trying to remember everything that's happened in like 5 months.
Which, going all the way back. So we're talking about things that are happening right now this week. Going back to the last point of major controversy that the two of us had during the cast, which is great because that's how I feel like progress is made. We have talked a lot about Storm in the Cube on this show in the past, in general. I am on record many times over as to the many pitfalls and issues you can have with something like Storm. At the end of last calendar year, moving into this year, I decided, you know what? We're going to try it. We'll put it in. We'll do it. We'll do it as an experiment. And
I was less pleased about this decision. Obviously. Right. I voiced my concerns.
You could go back in the records. Not only is there plenty of evidence of me saying that Storm has its pitfalls, but Eck was very vocal in...
And a lot of that experience is from the Moto Cube. Because the Storm was in the Moto Cube, and, I don't know if it was necessarily I don't even know if it was necessarily the fault of the Storm cards, but Storm never worked in that cube. But a lot of that was because that cube was so weird.
And you're talking about the unpowered...
Right. The regular... And this was like 7 million iterations ago.
Not that many iterations ago.
Well, given how many updates they've done, and now they have the Holiday Cube and the new one they just announced that hasn't gone live yet.
Now, you could say, though, pretty confidently that in the Powered or Holiday or...
It's a lot better there.
Okay.
For sure. And it's gotten better over time.
Okay.
That's part of it, too, is I made an initial assessment of it based on what it was as it existed. I was like, well, they're clearly trying to make Storm a thing, and if they're trying and it's this bad, clearly there's no point.
I think the bad assumption you made there was they were trying.
Right.
That was the false truth that we had. And now I think we live in a world where in our own cube there is a pretty good balance. I don't hate it. I think that the cube is at the larger end where it can still be viable. We went from 675, 680 down to 630. We're still over 600, which is pretty big for people, but losing 50 cards did help a lot. I have definitely gone back and forth about going all the way down to 600, but I do feel like being able to support 16 players pretty well is nice. I like to be able to do that.
Sure.
So 630 is still really the sweet spot for there. Are there enough cards to draft Storm? From the experience that I've had and the many drafts I've run through in the last 9 months or whatever, it's worked. There haven't been complaints. There haven't been a lot of last pick seeding songs that people are pissed about. There haven't been a lot of dead empty cards.
It's definitely, I think when you first added it, it was a little rocky.
I agree,
and I think that iterating on it has improved the feel of it and how it plays and how it drafts by a lot.
Losing a few of the more ridiculous cards like Demonic Consultation.
Right. I mean, we tried to go super deep, or you tried to go. I didn't help.
Your feedback was helpful,
right? But I was not. Yeah. So
it wasn't a shake and bake situation. Right. You were not.
So the cards that we added initially were.
If you go in the log, you'll find it.
Yeah.
You actually don't have to go that far down.
No. Not this one.
Go back to like the beginning of the year.
Plus empty the win. I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I'll put this on the screen. So this is the Cube Tutor update log for the Storm change, which was in March. So some of this is, obviously other real change, but like, Pentad, Prism, and
Chrome Mox, Lotus Bloom, Heartbeat, Mana
Flare, Gamble, Seething Song, like
Bargain,
Demonic Consultation,
Palancron, Brain Freeze, Turnabout, Time Spiral, Time Twister, Mind's Desire,
Motorboat Reaper, Stormcant 1. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of. We were very big on it and kind of played some loose ones to try and make it a thing, and that was definitely overboard. And it wasn't even that like, oh, Storm needs all these cards to be good. It was that even if the Storm player wants all of these cards, they can't possibly get all of them, so they're just like crapping all over everybody else's draft with all its garbage.
And I wanted a little bit of a safety net if two players early in the draft thought they were going to or tried to force a Storm deck.
Yeah.
I wanted to be safe, kind of just in case. And you kind of see a little bit of that. We go in,
Limdol's Vault.
Ignite Memories. Even a card like Monastery Swift Spear plays better in that kind of archetype. And the storage lands, the Grixis-related storage lands from Time Spiral also.
And Fungal Reaches.
Well, it's Grixis-related. That's red. The only one I didn't add is the blue-white one. Because there isn't a lot of white Storm cards.
Yeah.
So like if you discount white off the Storm tree, then blue is like a little bit of action.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, green is a little bit of action. Black, red, and blue are where it's at.
So, anyway, we went pretty big on it.
Yeah.
And it was a little rocky at first because there were so many cards that it was so in your face and you couldn't kind of avoid it. So it kind of like screwed with drafts for a little while, I think.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but I think it definitely.
The interesting thing was the Cube Tutor data got super skewed because like there were a lot of Kenny got on there and drafted a bunch of just like forcing Storm decks.
Yeah.
So like that if you went to like try to do it with the bots for a little while, the Storm cards would just disappear, and you would just be like, I can't draft it. This is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So that was a rocky road. But I do feel like it's been integrated well. I'm happy with where it's at. I have seen the decks be successful.
Yeah.
I have seen them find alternate ways to make shit happen.
Since then, we've kind of cut back on... We cut out Desire, we cut out Demonic Consultation, Culling the Weak, and just kind of slowly trimmed... what else has gone out? Limdol's Vault. We've kind of trimmed out the outliers and... tried to iterate and add more cards that are good in Storm, not dead anywhere else. There are very few, other than the obvious, like, Tendrils and, like, the actual Storm cards, there are very few true Yeah. Seething Song.
Cabal Ritual, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual. All these cards, like even Seething Song, like does power some shit out.
Cast Wildfire turn earlier.
Yeah, get the Mind Slaver, get the, there's stuff. Things are happening. It's not the worst thing ever.
True.
The value Manamorphose. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it does cycle.
So it happens a lot more than
it's a lot better now than it was. So I have to walk back my previous statements to a degree.
This is not staged. This is completely unexpected.
I'm not going.
This isn't full concession.
No. It's playable.
Okay.
It's not awful.
Okay. This isn't VE Day, but we're getting close.
Yeah. So eventually we might get to a point where I can declare it.
Well, if you drafted more, for fuck's sake.
Well, if you lived closer, for fuck's sake.
Well, now I'm talking to Vin, and he's going to move up to the city. Could Connor to come over to draft on Thursdays in the city.
You're just going to leave me in the cold down here.
Yeah.
You have to Skype me in. Just hold packs up to the camera. Which of these do you want to take?
Fourth from the left.
No, you're on the
left.
Yeah. Just need a magic robot, magic playing robot, and I can just Anyway, I'll have to get in the lab and draw. I'll send you some schematics. Anyway, so
Storm, yeah, still going strong.
Going better.
I mean, there's not a whole lot else to say there. I thought it was.
I will say this: the only reason I think Storm is viable in our cube is because we're powered. I think if you didn't have the added benefit of Moxen, Lotus, Ritual, or Recall, and that stuff, I don't think Storm would be good enough.
Yeah, I think that's good feedback for cube builders, designers, tweakers.
Yeah.
If you aren't fully powered,
it's a no-go.
It's if you've... And that's a question...
You have to include too many cards that are well below the necessary power level if you're unpowered.
Yeah, if you try to offset it with just I'll play all 10 Signets and I'll play all these Mana Rocks.
It's not the same. No. It is not even remotely the same.
And even where we're at right now, it's tenuous.
Yeah. And we're this is about as friendly an environment to Storm and Cube as you can make in ours right now.
You can make it friendlier.
Well, I mean, you could make red,
shrink the size,
make red horrible.
Put a little more of those.
Cut out all the red 1-drops.
Yeah, yeah. People do it.
In terms of realistically, this is about as good as it's going to get, while still being a fair and balanced cube. Unless you're going to go super crazy, all spells cube.
People on
people make cubes for everything.
People on Reddit ask about that kind of thing all the time. The all spells cube.
Yeah, I mean, people like their spells.
I mean, if people can play Dredge, you can
just include a single card printed since 2009.
No, Genesis Wave.
You mean Epic Experiment? Just would be really bad at the all spells cube.
I was trying to be funny and it didn't really work out. So let's get to some meat and potatoes kind of stuff. So, between the time that we had last podcasted and now, technically Modern Masters 2 had come out. We did do an update for Modern Masters 2. A lot of that was kind of just some...
The reprints are a lot less relevant to us.
Right, but it's an opportunity. I like to update the cube once per set release. Only under... Not extreme. Only under special circumstances will they be updated otherwise. The holidays, we'll usually do something because I feel like for the last few years now, we've managed to do similar to how MTGO does, where we'll get together, we'll do some special drafts. I do want to do something like that this year, maybe take it a step further. We'll see what we have access to. But, other than that, if a set comes out, I'll make a change. For Modern Masters 2, a lot of that was just kind of housekeeping on things like Storm, just kind of, just general updates. And what I've got on my current, maybes interest list is very similar to that, which we'll talk about later. But between then and now, or between way before and where we are now, we did have Modern Masters 2 and we have Origins. Origins we didn't do official show at the time, so we'll try to make up for that. Let's go over the spoiler as though we were looking at it for the first time, our feelings.
With bright eyes.
Yes.
Okay. And whatever else. Okay. So, obviously we're going to have to skip through this pretty quick because there's a lot of chaff, as is in any set.
But right here in front of us, Archangel of Tides. People like the Archangel of Tides. Do you like the Archangel of Tides?
Triple white is pretty rough.
Yes.
I do like the card. 5 toughness is a lot. Not a lot of stuff is going to kill it, and it's a pain in the ass.
It's pretty anti-red decks.
Yeah. Which is good, because red... There's been some habitual line stepping with red in the last few years, where it's just gotten... I mean, and don't get me wrong, that was a project of mine for a while, was to make aggro better in the cube, and I think I succeeded, but I think we went a little too far, maybe.
So I just cut Tanglewire and Winter Orb, so...
Well, those cards are terrible anyway, so...
So I'm glad Kenny isn't here to try to refute, but yes. Archangel was a big fat maybe for me. If this card had cost double blue and double white. Obviously, it cost double blue. I'd be way more interested. If it cost double white and 3 colors, I'd be a lot more inclined. Which is awkward because I do like pushing the white creature decks. The Crusade Honor token strategies I like.
If there is a payoff for a devotion
in white,
that was like worth anything.
So we have like the red. What gods we have? We have the red blue god and we have the red god.
Yeah.
So red devotion is where it's at.
Right.
That's
if there, but I'm saying like even if there was just something that like paid you off for white mana symbols, this would be worth considering. But I think that since it doesn't have that extra little, bit to tip it over, I think this is a pass for now. It's something to consider though because it occupies a lone of spot on the curve and is a good middle ground between aggressive disruption and defensive annoyance that it can play both ways, and that's always valuable in a cube card.
The white 4-drop spot is also pretty beefy at the moment. Again, if this had been a smaller version at 3 or a bigger version at 5,
you could consider it.
If it even had been like a 6-drop.
It's important. It's important when you're thinking about cards. Is you can't just consider the color. You also have to consider where it is on the curve because you kind of look at cubes like you're building a deck, right? You want a mana curve of the whole thing. And this is a common thing that comes up with red. So red has about 80 trillion 4-drops that are all insane, and you can't play all of them, otherwise the color would suck. So you have to trim and pay attention to that, to kind of keep that in mind. So every time they print a red 4-drop, I'm like, well, is that better than all the other red 4-drops ever? No.
And then I have a special pedestal that I put Avalanche Riders on and be like, you can stay. You can stay.
He is like grandfathered in.
He and Juzam Jin they have like a tea time every week, always the same.
Yeah.
Light from Within, I see what you're saying. Although it connects to the conversation we were just having about white 4-drops, I don't really want my Anthems at 4 right now. As exciting as it would be to be able to,
cute.
Chroma, like old school devotion.
Old devotion, yeah. I don't want this to cost 4.
Yeah, that's the problem. If there was a different iteration at 3, if it was +1.
Also, this is so awkward with token making.
Yes,
that's kind of big a white thing. So
yes.
Okay, moving on. How do you like Council's Lieutenant?
I like it a lot. If it was 2009, it would be in the cube.
You'd snap that bad boy.
Hell yeah. For those of you that are new to the cast, or if you have been away as long as we have talked a lot about the double white bear conundrum. The cards that cost white mana generally have 2 power, and then
they're all
something.
They're all fine. They all have various upsides. Right. Silver Knight, Black Knight,
they're all
White Knight.
C+ players.
Yeah, the deck. You just don't want very many of them.
And this guy does come from a different angle. If you think of the Sultari Champion-esque vein of cards,
I think this is one of the better ones, mostly because it can become a 3-power guy as opposed to just being a 2-power guy.
Right, and which is why we're not just immediately sloughing this guy off, but instead having a conversation. I got real close. Yeah. I got real close to adding this card.
I definitely think that if you have a payoff for White Devotion, this is another thing. If you're playing Heliod or Light from Within, or you're trying to go on that angle, and you want the bears, obviously this is a very good one. But the fact that it doesn't really play well with others, and that's a problem with White already, is kind of a strike against it. Like, it's hard a lot of times to be. There are so many cards. It's like, well, if you're mono white, this is awesome. But like, if you're white red, it's horrible because you can never cast it. So.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if before this year is out, if I take a closer look at white, take the time, really see what those Crusades are doing for me, because I like the Crusades and I like the token creatures. There could be some changing of the guard. We could see the 2 cards we just.
Neither the White Orchid, by the way, another one. The same problems that we just talked about.
Oh yeah, well, that one's from a long time ago. Again, a card we played in 2009.
Right. How do you feel about cards like Hollowed Moonlight? Like, the kind of disruptive, but they're narrow, but it does draw a card.
Thankfully, we already have Containment Priest.
Right.
So it has legs. This reminds me, it's like, what if this had been like a one-shot Rest in Peace?
Like, exile all graveyard to draw a card?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That'd be so good.
Okay. So that's what I'm looking for.
Would see play in basically every format.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Again, maybe it's in the same vein as a card like Abeyance, since no one knows Abeyance. Yeah. man, close. If we were playing the 1,000-card cube,
right?
Sure.
Card 858. All right, Kithian.
Auto include really is. You've heard it. We are not the first people.
Take a hike, Elite Vanguard.
Yeah, we are not the first people.
Yeah. He does kind of fall into the trap of what we've talked about before. How many white 2/1s for 1 are you willing to put in your cube?
Yeah, and again, this is all a question of size. Now, everybody out there that has the full complement probably still adding. I don't know. I mean, how big does your cube have to be to want every single iteration of 2/1 for 1 white these days? Because as far as I can tell,
it's got to be like 1,200.
There's
like 50. There's so many.
Right.
There's so many.
And for me personally, having the love for Savannah Lions, Elite Vanguard was sent out to pasture.
Well, and also, to be fair, we don't have the same level. A lot of people that I've talked to did the reverse cut because they have like human and or soldier
matters.
Yeah, like right. they're playing like
Champion of the Parish.
Yeah, that guy and stuff like that. So like the fact.
Conversely, we have Storm Kirk Noble, and the Lion can block it. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, you know, pick your poison, as it were. Obviously, a Kithian is in your cube. How about them irregulars?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much exactly what I was feeling.
Remember that time we just talked about white 4-drops?
Right.
Also, white not playing well with others with its white activation.
Hey, Rye, good to hear from you again. How about them Blue Jays? Storm's still good, still happening. Go back, review our comments on it from earlier, but I still have a pro-Storm agenda. Yeah. Relic Seeker, poor man's Stoneforge Mystic.
The poorest.
The poorest of man's Stoneforge Mystic. When we get down to the artifacts in this section, we'll talk a little bit more about equipment and kind of its role in Cube. However...
This is not doing it.
Yeah. That's the short answer.
How do you feel about Swift Reckoning?
I always have to read it when my opponent casts it, because I still don't know exactly what it does. I think it exiles a guy,
right?
Or it like only destroys it if you don't have spell mastery, or actually it's just very simple.
Yeah, it's very. There's a lot of text up here and very little text down here.
Right. That card's not great.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's like unconditional. It's very. As far as white goes, it's pretty unconditional.
I think in 2007 we played Chastising Cube. And we were pretty, like, even at the time, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And sure, we chopped the mana cost in half, and we probably have spell mastery. But white removal looks like 1 mana spells like Condemn, Path, Swords, or it looks like, or Journey to Nowhere, or it's 3 mana enchantment and takes care of a wider spectrum.
Any strong feelings one way or another about Tragic Arrogance?
The difference between Magic Origins Limited and Cube Limited is...
It might be I've been playing a lot of Standard, and Tragic Arrogance is just, like, almost always insane.
No, it's the same in Origins Limited.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Origins Limited.
Times.
Yeah.
There are a lot of board states where I'm just like, whatever deck I'm playing, it's like, it'd be real good right now.
My F&M deck...
Tragic Arrogance.
My F&M deck from 2 weeks ago, pick 1, pack 1, Tragic Arrogance. I have red-white cards in a pack 1. Pick 2, pack 1, Chandra's Ignition. Pick 3, pack 1, Sword of the Animist. And I was also passed during that draft Abhorrent Dragon, Knight of the White Orchid, and Thixis or whatever, the Jailer.
Prison Warden.
My deck was insane.
That's pretty good. Anyway.
Tragic Arrogance. Another version of Cataclysm. A different version of Cataclysm because it doesn't semi-Armageddon. Cataclysm we cut a little while ago because it was a little more difficult to set up to be so one-sided. It's not as easy to set up as Balance. Tragic Arrogance is a little easier to just fire off casually. Like, you don't have to be substantially ahead. Like, for Cataclysm to work properly, you have to kind of be ahead.
Yeah.
You can't be at parity or behind, really, because you don't know what your opponent's going to do. With Tragic Arrogance, it's
much better when you're behind.
Right.
It's a little more awkward in Cube because there are far more decks that are looking to stick one thing rather than go wide.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that more people are going to have more of the permanent types. Right? It's not going to be like a spot where the only cards in my deck are lands and creatures. You know, people are going to have random artifacts lying around and random enchantments and a Planeswalker. So you can't... It's not going to be the same level of blowout.
Right.
You know? I think it's something to consider. It's not the worst card in the world.
I think it's been considered, and...
Yeah.
Newer Cube players and drafters will definitely play it.
Flying Thalia? Hey, Flying Thalia?
We tried the Glow Rider experiment pretty heavily. If you go back...
But Fly Rider.
Yeah.
Glow Flyer.
If you go back at our show archives, there was a time where we played Sphere of Resistance, Thorn of Amethyst.
We went deep on it.
Glow Rider, Thalia. You either have all of them and you're playing a bunch of mediocre guys.
Just like 2 1s for days.
And if your opponent plays Hill Giant, you're kind of like, fuck. Or like, one of them would have been really good to kind of, disrupt an opponent. This guy is still on the outside looking in. Thalia is the perfect card. That's why it's legendary. It's the 2 power first striker for 2 mana. Yeah. When you get to 3,
it's a little sketchy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blue will probably be much faster.
Oh, well, you want to talk about Days Undoing?
So,
I feel like people are going to ask.
You think we play Storm and Cube, why wouldn't we want Days Undoing?
Oh, the problem is this little line right here. It says, end the turn.
I think a lot of people that have never played Storm are the same people that think that this card would be good in a Storm environment, because you're like, oh, well, you draw 7.
And then you adapt them when you
then you do something.
Yeah. Not so much.
Yeah, that happens. Drawing 7 happens in the middle.
Yeah.
It's the middle step.
Harbinger of the Tides.
That guy's in.
Yeah. This card's also excellent. I rode this fishy bastard to the finals of the PPTQ I played in yesterday. He was great all the time in Standard. Also great in Cube as just a sweet tempo play. Any guys that are reasonable flash guys I like, especially in Blue where you're letting the leave mana up, and like, even if you're not getting the trigger, like, it's just, okay, you didn't play a spell I wanted to counter, here's a 2/2.
It's another good opportunity to talk about the difference between Cube of 4 or 5 years ago and the Cube of today. And if you've been following Magic closely during that span, if you go back to old school Dragon Cube, we've talked about it on the show a lot before. The game was slower, was grindier, was haymaker full. There wasn't a lot of tempo creature plays, a lot of creature plays in general. And we've slowly been moving in Magic where creatures are better, they're more influential on the games. Combat happens. And Blue, while still being the best color overall long-term in the spell side, has had to adapt with that a little bit. We still play the 2/3 spell, 1/3 creature in Blue, but this guy made it in. Times are changing, and it's a great fit. It's a great play there. I've cast this card on 2 in Cube. I've cast it on 4 in Cube.
Yeah. The card's just good.
And you've got to be really effing good to make it into blue creatures.
Yeah. The standards are very high. Speaking of good, effing good blue creatures,
Mahamadi Dejin.
That's right. Yeah. Jesse and Jace Burns Prodigy. Snap, obviously, get in there.
That card is
insane.
Surprisingly sick. The other day, I cast it on 2. Turn 3, what did I do? It doesn't matter. Turn 4, I Armageddoned and flipped it.
Yeah.
And then
gross.
3 turns later, I flashed Armageddon back.
Yeah, it's disgusting. The card's insane. It's always good. Never not good. And the fact that it's a little creature, it makes it play well. Like, you get it back from Reveler. You can do some crazy crap with it.
I mean, as you can see in Standard right now, it plays so sick with Whip of Erebos.
And Ochitais Command.
Alright, yeah.
Anyway.
I'm a gross value kind of person.
Oh, I am too. I'm casting Ochitais Command.
Yeah.
All value all the time.
We may be done here.
Sphinx Tutelage? Build around me.
Yeah. I would imagine that card's going to in some Pauper Cubes.
If you like mill, obviously this is going in.
Yeah,
the card is surprisingly fast. It's like surprisingly fast. If you have a decent amount of card draw, it is. I played it at FNM last week, or this Friday, 2 days ago, whatever. Like the blue-red mill deck, but I put white in it for Nyxcleus Rams and Oshai's Command, and it was sweet. You draw a lot of cards with that deck, and it mills out like very fast. It's surprising. It catches people really off guard. Like, okay, two more. Oh, 8 cards. Like, it really kind of like sneaks up on people.
We used to have Increasing Confusion in the Cube. We've dabbled a little bit more with milling elements. There were definitely times.
Increasing Confusion was pretty dumb. I mean, this is a lot more reasonable of a mill card.
Blue Fireball.
It's just Fireball with flashback. Yeah.
Because intuition.
Right.
There was a time where I was interested in blue mill decks in Cube, but I think Storm has kind of replaced
I think if you could target any player with it.
Ooh, that would
like hypothetically, because then you could like play it in Reanimator. You target yourself.
Kind of why we still have Drown Yard in the Cube.
Right, because you can target yourself.
Yeah.
I think you would probably play it because you could also discard from it. Like this would be a very good, albeit slow, Reanimator card.
It wouldn't put it in the... It would, I mean, like, it would be better, yes, but it still wouldn't make it.
I don't know.
Talk about cards that are also right on the cusp, but not making the cut. Thopter Spy Network.
It's super close.
Yes.
It's very easy to control an artifact in Cube.
Definitely makes me want to put Seat of the Synod in the Cube.
Right. It's pretty... In Powered Cube, it's pretty easy to control an artifact. There are enough of them floating around that most decks are just going to want to play anyway, that it's pretty easy to turn on. That being said, it's super slow. And it's a blue spell, so demands are very, very high on it.
You know, if you had a Metalworker package in your cube, which I have dabbled with the idea of trying to bring it in the past, you would be playing this card.
Sure.
For sure. And if
the
our
more
cube
artifact
was in that
synergy,
space...
the more deep you're going in artifacts, obviously this gets a lot better. As an incidental, well, we've got some Moxen. It's not as good, and it's just hard to be a blue spell. It's just hard. You want to talk about Demonic Pact?
No, I don't want to talk about Demonic Pact.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a cube card.
How about Dark Petition?
Even less of a cube card.
How about Despoiler of Souls?
No, that card's also really bad.
Wow.
That card's really bad.
Poor Bloodghast with one more power.
That's not Bloodghast at all.
It's pretty Bloodghasty.
If Bloodghast had double black to activate when you played a land.
Let's not bring that up.
Yeah.
How about Airless Titan?
God, that card's so awful.
Wow. You realize it's just better than Juzin Jin?
No.
Well, other than the mana cost being slightly harder.
No, I do not like Arrows' Titan.
You're just so defensive about Juicy.
No, even if Juzin was not a magic card, this card would
This is
still
some
be...
apologist, like,
wow.
backtracking on your part.
Whenever a creature leaves an opponent's graveyard, you also have to discard a card.
And you return to your hand.
Yeah,
Who
I
cares?
saw that part.
This is all flavor text. It's a 5/5 for 4 with no drawback.
Yeah. Did we skip by Whirler Rogue? Oh, it's because of the blue creature. Blue creatures, that's tough to get into. We added 2 from this set.
That's like gotta be some kind of record.
Yeah, that is definitely a record. Whirler Rogue, in many ways, is the blue Cloudgoat Ranger.
Whirler Rogue is very good, and I think that it plays well with a lot of stuff in Cube.
Popper Cube All-Star.
Revelark with Whirler Rogue. Very cute. Very good. It's kind of slow for Cube. If you care more about artifacts, right, like we were talking about, like the Metalworker deck or, artifact affinity of some kind, obviously it's a lot better there. But without that without developing that synergy explicitly, I don't think it makes the cut on its own. It's good, but not great. And it's just very hard to be...
Yeah, blue is the rough color.
Blue is the hardest color, especially when you start costing 4 or more mana for creatures. It's a lot easier to get in if you're cheap, because the standards are a little lower. But once you get expensive, it's like, the blue deck doesn't want to tap out for much. So it's going to have to be really good.
I don't know. Maybe Peasant... To me, Peasant and Popper all mean the same thing. But you're
as we say with our top hats and monocles and flutes of champagne.
Hey, I have drafted
with our all foiled, full powered.
I have drafted said Peasant and Popper
house payment cube.
Yeah. Let's not think about that.
Not around here, actually.
No.
Doesn't work in this neighborhood, but like in Oklahoma. Wrong window. There we go. You know what card's fun, but I don't think good enough, is Guildleaf Winnower.
Yeah, that card's a lot of fun.
I mean, it's so weird, and I kind of like it.
Right.
And, like, the flavor is great.
Is it? What's the flavor of the card?
So it's the Eyeblight, like the Eyeblight elves. Like, remember, like, Eyeblight's ending and stuff, where it's like the elves killing ugly people? Like the ugly creatures?
I see. So they don't have symmetry.
How do you have ugliness in a card, and it's cards that don't have this... the unequal power and toughness.
Gotcha.
But it's hypocritical because it is also uneven in power and toughness. Right.
Wow.
A lot of meta levels.
So deep there.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll never play that card.
I know.
It's too much.
It's too much.
I don't want to think about these things.
Languish.
It's in the cube, right?
Obviously.
It's the Kithian level of the... Why do we even need to stop and talk about it? We aren't going to get Damnation back. We all know that. I mean, for us, in Cube, we already have Damnation, so...
4 mana black Wrath's obviously great.
Yeah.
This is as close as we're going to get behind actual Wrath, which we already have, and we'll gladly pay more.
Yeah,
if they print another Damnation called, like, Flim Flam Nation, and it's the same card, but different name. We'll obviously play that one too.
I think us, we're the huge minority here, but us as cube drafters actually get more of a benefit of them not reprinting Damnation.
Right, because you get all the alternates.
Then we get a Languish, which we like a lot. 4 mana.
Right.
Wraths, yeah.
Right next to Languish, Liliana Heretical Healer.
This one I feel like I kind of had to be talked into. I wasn't super excited about this card when all the Planeswalkers were first spoiled.
It seemed like it didn't do a lot. It's a little more subtle, but it's also pretty good on the front. 2/3 lifelink is not the worst card. And the fact that it makes a zombie when it flips is some good value.
So, what really kind of sold me on this card wasn't really the back half, because I think the back half can often be kind of...
It's very...
Not necessarily contradictory, but just kind of very...
It's very middling.
Right. So, you've got another Vampire Nighthawk, which is good.
No flying, no death touch, but
yeah,
1 out of 3 ain't bad.
But it replaces itself.
Yes,
that's
it
so that's
brings a dude when it flips.
We've talked for years at this point about how black 3-drops are still lacking.
Right,
they're catching up with time. Things are being filled in.
Black 3-drops are definitely one of the black and red. Red 3-drops are also pretty meh.
But they don't have as much of a problem as their 2s and 4s hit so hard.
Right, exactly.
Black 4s don't even really hit that hard. They don't hit at the same strength.
No.
Anyway.
But 3 has always been a big... I mean,
so
I've talked in the past about wanting to play Phyrexian Crusader.
Yeah.
As just the only infect card because it's so shallow.
And then I was like, well, fuck it, if we'll do that, we'll put in Skithirex. And it's like, well, if we do that...
And it's like, why are we having this conversation?
Yeah, let's move on. I didn't want Liliana to turn into a conversation about infect, but... I was talked into it. In play, it's been actually slightly above par. It kind of reminds me of last year's...
This is also
not Painsmith. What is the Flesh Carver?
Yeah,
it looked innocuous on the surface, but in
ends up being actually really good.
Yeah.
This is kind of the opposite situation from we were talking about blue creatures, where the bar is very high, especially once you start costing a lot of mana. The bar is very low for black 3-drops because there are so few that are good. So anything that's even like middling is going to make the cut, at least to get a shot.
I think we've moved up in the world. I think if you look at the list now, it's not
better.
It's not as,
but it's been a problem for.
We're like, you never know. You might cast out a Gladiator. No. We're not living in that world anymore.
Yeah. How do you feel about Priest of Bloodright? Revelarkin.
But it's like recurring nightmare. Recurring nightmare. Way better with that.
I know. I feel like this card does a lot of cute things.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah, that's about it, though.
Yeah, black is such a good job of killing itself already.
Yeah,
the last thing I need is
more killing myself.
Right, and so many players almost for players' health and safety. Right. I just not want to be like, all right, Mana Warrior guy, go.
Yeah. So yeah, now I hate my life.
Yeah. And we're done with black. That was nice. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Abbott of Carol Keep.
Big debate.
Big debate.
Big debate. I like Irish Shaman better.
You are... I had the same conversation with Vin. I just don't get it. Abbott is insanely good.
Wow. Insanely good.
Abbott is incredible.
Insanely good.
Irish Shaman.
Your choice of words
so
here.
Bad.
Okay. Well, the floor is yours. Talk me into this guy.
Well, he's a 2-drop, for one.
Okay.
He's not a bad 2-drop late.
He's even better 2-drop late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the issue with a lot of the red drops where you're like, oh, well, I have this Jackal Pup now. He hits harder than 2 almost all the time, especially in red where you're flinging lightning bolts at everything. He's awesome in a world that not only are you going to have a bunch of lightning bolts, but you're also going to have things like Moxen to flip. How gross is that?
A little bit of dream, but okay.
Right, sure. Prowess.
Ooh, sick.
I'll
go one step further. Go ahead. Let's switch over to our visual spoiler. What are you taking out for Abbott?
What am I cutting for Abbott?
If you go to the Q tier side, and go to list visual spoiler, that way you can go right to red 2-drops. Actually, you can go right to red. It'll all sorted by creature.
Alright, Shaman, get the fuck out of here. Just fucking whoop.
Wow. Not even gonna look at anything else.
No, it's right here. Just whoop. Get that out. Whoop. Irish Shaman, bad. It's not good. Bad.
What if Irish Shaman was considered a 3-drop though?
But it's not. Even if it was, I'd still be like, Irish Shaman, get out of here.
Okay.
You're bad.
Okay.
Real bad.
Okay.
Past that, it'd probably be Humble Defector.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. I really like Humble Defector.
I know you do. I know you do. But yeah, this is like a tag team of real mediocrity here. Yeah, Sam brings a good point. It makes no sense to even consider Gorehouse Chainwalker and not play Abbott. Like, this is in queue. This card. Okay? Abbott is this card, but it can block and it draws you a card.
Alright, I see what you're saying here.
Like, that's insane. And I'd still rather have Gorehouse Chainwalker than Irish Shaman. But, if you have to do something, for the love of God, put Abbott in the cube over one of these 3 cards.
Like, I can be talked into Gorehouse Chainwalker. I didn't really even think about that. Because I just looked at Gorehouse Chainwalker as a 3-power guy for 2.
No. Abbott is...
What else is down here?
Abbott is nutty.
We're done with the 3s.
Abbott is very good.
Alright.
We're making that change.
That's fine.
I didn't realize you hadn't even made that change. I just assumed it was in. It's so good. Oh, Chandra. It's a red 3-drop, which we were just talking about, kind of is like the weak spot in the curve for red. You know, going back to this list that we were just looking at, it's kind of...
We don't even really have that many red 3-drops.
Right. I kind of like it over Dualcaster Mage.
Dualcaster Mage is a precarious one. Its value has changed.
It looks good. Like, you're like, look at you, like, how could this be bad? But it kind of is somehow. I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
It's reactive, I think, is part of the problem with that card.
Yeah, and that's not where red wants to be. You want to be proactive, not reactive. You know, get in there.
Right, and you still hope as a designer.
Chandra is also super fun. I don't know if you've gotten to play with this card at all yet, like in limited or whatever. There have been some very fun sequences where it's like, shoot you, play a spell, untap it, attack you, play another spell, untap it, shoot you, flip it, shoot you in the face for another 2. Like, it's just super great. You get to do all kinds of fun stuff with it. I enjoy that card. I don't know if it's good enough because it is, at the end of the day, it's a gray ogre without haste or anything.
It feels like a circleless juggling clown. Where it's like when they pull it off, it's like, very entertaining, but when they don't,
it's sort of tragic.
Right. Yeah. I don't really care that you can get that back with Revelark either. Yeah.
The fact that you can get, I think, all of them back with Revelark is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I love Revelark. Who doesn't love Revelark?
Not you. Yeah. Chandra is absurd against anyone without removal and super mediocre if they have it. Yeah, that's about the world, you know. And how many cards...
It's like taking the juggling clown analogy and relating it to Magic the Gathering, which is not a bad idea.
So... There we go.
Well, I mean, I've added 4 of the 5 flip Planeswalkers. And
why not make it the full cycle?
And initially, I thought it was only going to be 3, but they've all been above par. Or where they've all exceeded expectations is a better way to put it.
Yeah, they're all fine. I think Chandra is fun, for sure. I don't know if it's good enough, but it's definitely fun. It's not exactly its downside, but it's, you know, how, like, womp womp it is when they just, like, bolt it, or, you know, tear it, or whatever is kind of lame. Exquisite Firecraft. Well, this is easy.
No.
What?
Why would I put that in queue?
Why wouldn't you put that in?
It's a sorcery.
Yeah, but it does 4 damage for 3 mana.
What are we cutting for that?
Where are spells? Here are spells.
You're in spells. It goes instants first and then sorceries.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking at all the spells.
No, take your time.
I like how I launched hanging out down here because it's enchantment. A lot of place.
Yeah, they do it like that. I mean, I think the easy answer would be...
I mean, Char is like the easy answer, right?
No, I think the easy answer is to cut, like, Searing Spear.
Oh.
To, you know, incinerate version 4.
I mean, I'd maybe cut Flame Slash for it. Although, obviously, they're very different cards.
I think a card like Flame Slash is important. It kind of reminds me of, we live in a powered cube environment.
Sure.
Like, I want to have a shot against turn 2 Moloku.
Right. I mean, that is fair. Yeah, I think you could make an argument for possibly Urza's Rage also. I mean, 3 damage versus 4 damage. Like, they both have the not countered aspect to it, and the kicker comes up so rarely. So it's 3 damage at instant speed versus 4 damage.
I just don't see how you don't... I think you have to cut, like, a Searing Spear before you cut Rage.
Yeah, but 2 mana instant is a lot different than 3 mana sorcery. Like, the gap between
That's not a sorcery.
What?
Rage is not a sorcery.
I know that.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying the difference between a 2 mana instant and a 3 mana sorcery is wide enough that I don't think it's like a comparable.
Okay. No, I give you that, but I'm also saying that like red spells, there isn't one I'm interested in cutting at the moment, kind of, and so like it's more of a question of the size of the cube.
How about this? Cube builders, if you don't own an Urza's Rage, put Exquisite Firecraft in your cube.
Yeah,
it's basically the same thing.
Okay.
What else we got? Oh, Pile Driver. You want to put a major...
People want to know about Glory Hole Chaser.
Oh. Ugh.
Look, I'm not saying I played it either.
Ugh. I mean, talk about 1-drops that are super embarrassing when you draw them late. I mean, at least this one can like block and doesn't deal you damage, but like it's just so mediocre.
I agree.
You gonna put Majoring Bully in the cube?
No.
Not even like a memorial majoring memorial bully.
No.
For those who do not know,
all the blame
while I'm giving him shit about this, we both top 8'd a sealed PPTQ like 2 months ago or whatever, and in the draft it got kind of train wrecked, partially because Tristan first picked Majoring Bully over all kinds of stuff.
No, that's not true at all. I picked it over Sky Raker Giant, and Claustrophobia. Those are the only other 2 cards in the pack. It was a terrible pack.
Yeah, and he got a lot of shit for it.
He did get a lot of shit for it because I was passing to Eck, who somehow ended up. What colors did you end up in your deck?
I was red-white. It was a bit. We're not going into it.
I had a sweet red-blue spell Thopter deck. It was a great deck. I tried to get a 3rd Majoring Bully, and someone else hacked it because they were trying to force the same deck I was drafting.
I feel like this whole line of cards is worth discussing. Magmatic Insight.
Yeah, booyah! 5 Majoring Bullies. I wish I had 5.
Nice. I feel like this whole row of cards is worth at least briefly mentioning.
Sure.
Magmatic Insight, Molten Vortex, P, and Kira Nilar. Magmatic Insight.
Not a bad card.
Storm.
Not a great card, but not a bad card.
Very fillery.
Yeah. It's filled.
Yeah. Molten Vortex.
Also, not a bad card. I still don't even know if it's... Sam was not bullied around. That's very nice. I like that. Vortex. Okay, so the thing about Vortex...
It's the, like, do you play this or do you play Seismic Assault?
Right.
Or do you play both? Or do
would
you
rather invest 3 red mana at some, like, all at once to be able to just willy-nilly throw lands at people, which I'm in that camp, versus would you like to slowly grind mountain red mana through lands that you draw?
I think Molten Vortex would see play in aggressive red decks that maybe wouldn't want Seismic Assault because it's too expensive. It's also more relevant if you care about this effect a lot. This is a lot easier to sneak through counter magic. Whereas Seismic Assault is a little clunkier.
Sure. But I mean, we don't live in a world now where blue is like really oppressive. Like, again, in 2009, I'd be pretty excited about that magic card. That's like another card that I could get underneath counter magic.
Counterspell, yeah.
It's going to definitely sneak in there, and in the long game, when my dragons get countered, I will grind it out with Molten Vortex.
Light from Below.
Assuming my opponent doesn't have Pulse of the Fields. Because if my opponent has Pulse of the Fields, I'm in bad shape.
God, just shoot me. So going on from that, Pia and Kira Nilar. Another, we just talked about Whirler Rogue a little bit. Obviously,
I think in the powered cube environment, or most cube environments, Key and Peele is going to be a higher value to people. The only reason it's in bad shape for us is it's a 4-drop.
Red 4-drops is arguably the most exclusive.
I would be so excited if this card cost 5 and made 3 guys.
Oh god! That'd be gross.
It'd be sweet.
If it's just Cloud Goat Ranger.
Yeah, like a weird uncle, cousin, aunt of Cloud Goat Ranger, where it's like the tokens fly, and he doesn't.
But he could hurl them.
But it costs more than Siege Gang, so it's okay.
Right.
Right?
That'd be gross.
4 power, 4 mana. You know, I don't fault anyone for playing this card. And probably in some weird alternate universe where I don't have a raging hard-on for Darwin Castles, Avalanche Riders. Yeah, go ahead and quote me on that one. We might be playing this Magic card.
Yeah, or even like, you know, you could make a debate. I would be willing to hear an argument of this over like Keldon Champion.
I would say in Constructed, the blue one is better. In Limited, how is the red one not better? Maybe the color identity?
Yeah, I don't know. Scabclan Berserker.
Like that guy.
Definitely in red 3 drops. Unlike 4 drops, 3 drops, very easy to get into.
Right. That's
it's the hole in the red curve. 2/2 haste that gets bigger that also punishes opponents. Definitely good. Yeah, that was an easy one. We're always on the lookout for
because of the casting cost, really.
Yeah. If it cost more and was bigger or less and was smaller, it arguably wouldn't make it either way.
Right. Curve filling Magic card. Oh, and we're out of red.
Evolutionary Leap. Interested?
More interested than I used to be. When this card was first spoiled, I was really not having any of it. But the fact that it kind of reminds me, like there's like a recycle mechanic. I don't know. It's grown on me, but not grown on me enough to want to play it.
Yeah, it's a little. It feels a little underpowered in a cube environment where you're like actually have survival and stuff.
I mean, yeah. I don't think you can really compare it to survival because it's not at all the same card. Like this is a green card advantage card. It's almost like not quite a Honden. Like you're gonna get advantage out of it because you're never gonna draw lands off of it, and you're only going to not even upgrade, but like you're gonna recycle guys is the best way to look at it. If somebody's gonna die, you're gonna get value out of it, which I really like. It's a perfectly great card.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, Sam hit it right on the head with that though. It's the same thing. I feel like it's good against exactly what he has already said. It's good against control decks. It is.
Yeah, it definitely feels pretty like. You definitely want it against decks with 12 removal spells, but you don't really want it elsewhere.
Yeah, like it's another great way to shit on black. Right?
Which black really needs.
Like, can a black deck ever beat that card?
Oh, God. No. Never. I mean, you could hypothetically run them out of creatures entirely.
Sure. Do you have to shuffle? Oh, like, go back on a random, so it's like Cascade. I was like, could you just stack your deck? No, otherwise you definitely have one guy in your... Alright, sorry. Deep in the tank there.
So... Any thoughts on Mana Gorger Hydra? It's not exactly... I think this card is potentially powerful, but it's not really what our green is doing. That much.
I mean,
we're kind of like into the... We're like ramping into just big old bombs. And we're not like mid-rangey very much.
In our cube at 3, there's definitely a hole, and it's almost like a hole more of on purpose.
Yeah, because you're just jumping from 2 to 4.
Sure. Although at the same time, Mana Gorger Hydra is not a big investment in terms of like putting into your cube to have it have impact. I'm not saying like it's a great so we talked about how like Monastery Swift Spear kind of plays well with the Storm decks because it only costs 1 mana. It can get you can play it early in the Storm process and get more value out of it. I've definitely drafted some Storm decks that have used like Monastery Swift Spear and Young Pyromancer to win the second turn after you make an impact with a Storm count or something.
Right.
Where Mana Gorger Hydra I feel could be very similar to that. There was a long time that people played Torian Mauler. It wasn't
Forgotten
bad.
Ancient was in forever.
I don't know, forever. It was in at one point in time.
It was in for a while.
It was a good card to cast before the counterfight for your dragon.
Yeah.
It was a good, like there weren't a lot of 4 drops, I feel like. Mana Gorger Hydra, I wouldn't fault it if I saw it in someone's cube. I would kind of expect to see it almost.
Yeah.
But
it's fine. I think it's just not for us.
Yep.
Oh, hey, Nissa.
Yeah, my card's in.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Were we playing, we were playing Civic Wayfinder, weren't we?
I was playing Civic Wayfinder, and I missed Civic Wayfinder because I still wish there's a way to get more of those 5-color control decks in the environment. I like to call them the Zach Special, for those of you that are long listeners of the show will know what that means. What it means is that there are players out there that are still obsessed.
I'm going to take every good card and every card that draws a card.
Right. He would be prone to like the Prophetic Bolt, Obelisk of Alara, Farseek,
what
like
mana
Wrath
curve?
of God, Nicobolus-S decks. So losing a card like Civic Wayfinder it hurts me. I miss that card, but Nissa is very good. You've seen it in action and constructed. You don't need to hear it from me. You know the card is good.
Wow, yeah. Green didn't really have a whole lot.
People like Woodland Bellower.
Card is so unexciting.
It's really missing the word trample.
Oh my god, if it had trample or
it's so missing the word
I don't know,
trample.
if it had like flying or something, I don't know.
Mostly because the artwork is so misleading. Like, it's not like whippoorwill levels of misleading, but it is surprisingly close.
Yeah, I just...
Like,
this card needs more... If it had, like, almost any more rules text that wasn't a drawback, I'd think about it, but it's just too...
It's a beast. Remember when those were relevant?
I do remember.
Okay.
When we were contested cliffing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Ravenous Balothing with damage on the stacking.
Yeah, long ago.
Drawing off Wirewood Savage. You can even tutor for Wirewood Savage. Whoa. Anyway.
Yeah.
So... Green does have a lack of 6-drops.
Yeah, it's a weird hole. Like, it's strange. But that said, I don't want vanilla 6/5s to be filling that hole.
So for a while in our cube, I just didn't even have a green 6-drop.
Right, we weren't even playing Primeval Titan.
Right, there was nothing.
Screw it.
So since then, in the interest of probably like a year and a half ago, a better distribution of mana costs, making the overall curve of the cube better. Primeval Titan got added, and Ravenous Baloths got added.
Rampaging.
Sorry,
Ravenous Baloth is the 4. 4.
All right, Rampaging Baloths got added. I could see I don't know. I'm talking out my ass. I could see an argument for replacing Rampaging Baloths with this card. But Rampaging Baloths I like the trample.
Trample is really good.
Yeah, like I said, if this card had trample, I think it'd be super sick. You get your Eternal Witnesses and your Jace Vryn's Prodigies and your all that other stuff.
Let's talk about the multicolored cards all at once. Are any of them good?
I think Bounding Krasis was the only one worth talking about.
Okay, let's talk about Bounding Krasis.
And I'm good. All right, that was nice. Yeah.
Moving on. The
backsides.
The backsides are down here. Okay. Foundry of the Councils. This is one that at least has been brought up a couple times. As a control kind of do something land, not bad.
In the 1,000-card cube, this is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, colorless lands are always a little weird.
Right.
You can't have too many of them. They got to be pretty good.
I think once we got to, like, World Wake, there was like a short time where I ran Gargoyle Castle.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't even good then. It was like, okay.
Fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think you played that over this.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I would rather have the 3/4 than 2/1/1s. Although I guess it's not an artifact, if that's relevant. Anyway. I think one of the only cards that are going to be down here that we're talking about is Hangerback Walker. Constructed, multi-format, all-star.
It's funny, and this is a card I will openly admit I completely missed.
I think everybody did. I mean, these were $1 like pre-order, and now they're what, 20, 18, something like that.
I don't even know.
I got mine. We opened 3 of them, and I bought one for $4, and I feel like a genius. MTG Finance, baby.
Well, it's funny because I usually overestimate. Like, I'll usually just like any card that I think might be cube playable, I'll just get a foil one and just have it, just in case. Like, if we make changes later, it's just better to do it. Although nowadays, considering the prices on cards fucking plummet,
yeah,
it's almost better to do the inverse of this.
Right.
This was a card that I never thought of the long-term value. I was always looking at the upfront investments being the drawbacks, which I think is what so many players did. I mean, yeah, you can Trinket Mage for it, which is pretty sweet.
Which is baller.
I mean, like, hitting it off of a free spell is not great, but I'm not worried about it. It's seeing play in Vintage. That's even more exciting, and bad for trying to get one for Cube. In the long run, artifact creatures are in an awkward spot. Some of the changes I made recently, I'm trying to get better artifact creatures in the cube.
It's also a good sync for the big brown mana deck of, like, the Thran Dynamos of the world and whatnot, where you just... a lot of times you have this embarrassment of mana, and you kind of don't have anything to do with it sometimes.
There aren't as many of those decks nowadays. I feel like.
But they do happen occasionally.
Although we did, for the interest of the Storm Turnabout Palancrons, we do have the Mana Flares of the world.
Right, so you can go real big.
You could just flare up a big walker.
Yeah, just upfront that bad boy.
What are they gonna do?
Yeah. You know.
All right. That might be. It's not Abbot of Carol Keep talked me into a level, but it's all right.
I think it's a little slow for the powered cube world. However, I still think it could be good enough. Right. It's super value.
No, I agree. I do think it could be good.
Speaking of artifact creatures. Mage Ring Responder.
I liked this guy for a hot second.
Bam!
I did like
just
this guy.
Giant firing lasers at people.
Right.
Beep boop bop.
Yeah, because I really like Scuttling Doom Engine as another one of those like colorless Titan-esque creatures that kind of do stuff.
I mean, were we playing? Are we still playing Soul of New Phyrexia?
No.
Okay.
No, we cut that guy.
Okay.
He is underwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, maybe this guy instead of that.
Yeah, but I'd probably play Hangerback Walker instead of either of those cards at this point.
Very true.
Yeah.
Orbs of Warding?
Nope.
Not even interested, not even relation.
Nope.
Pyromancer's Goggles?
I mean, you want to live the dream and cast
Wildfire?
I was going to say Cruel Ultimatum.
Oh, yeah, Cruel Ultimatum would be sick.
Cruel Ultimatum is the dream, I believe.
Yeah. I think this card's very fun, but yeah. Sword of the Animist?
Hot. Love that card. Love that card. Finally got to add an equipment to the cube in the first time in forever.
It's been a decade or something.
And even then, like, our equipment count is like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Very, very low, hence why we didn't even stop to talk about Relic Seeker.
No.
Not a card.
And the only reason Stoneforge Mystic is a card is because you can put the equipment into play with it.
Right.
So you can cheat and avoid counterspells. So, better late than never. That is Magic Origins in a nutshell for Cube.
I mean, if you go to the Cube Tutor list, you will see the changes that I did make.
We have, there is a log if you go to the Cube Tutor. What?
I was just trying to scroll up to get to the menu bar at the top.
Oh.
There you go. Lists. Or no, blog. Blog is the right way, yeah. So, I added Kytheon, Jace, Harbinger, Languish, Liliana, Scabclan Berserker, Nissa, Sword of the Animist from this set so far. And Eck appears to have talked me into Abbot of Carol Keep.
Yeah. At least. Possibly, maybe Hangerback. Maybe Chandra. There's a couple maybes.
Chandra, I don't think that's going to happen. Hangerback Walker, quite probably. I like anti-red hate.
I mean, it's one of the best cards against red.
Exquisite Firecraft did not cut it either, though. That was...
yeah, I think that card's good. Not being counterable is sweet.
Sure. There's just a lot less counter magic these days.
Yeah.
Cube is a different place than it used to be.
I guess so.
It wasn't like you always had to be prepared. So,
now that we've caught up to... Technically, we're sort of... We still have a little... We have one other thing we really want to talk about, and I guess we could mention the Magic Online, their new announced queue.
Oh, I still haven't downloaded the new client to look at my play point. What has been your? Have you gone back yet? No. You haven't.
I'm still on boycott.
Okay, Eck has been the loudest vote dissident. I feel like
I just can no longer support bad software. However, I do keep up on their cube lists and things like that. Including the announced Legendary Cube. Everything is a legend. And you win packs for doing it, and it's legendary. Obviously, I haven't found a list for this yet.
At least they've already changed one of the policies that they were going to put in place initially.
Yeah.
Which is you could only... the packs weren't tradable or some shit?
Yeah, I don't understand why they did that.
That was such a dick move.
So... I'm curious to see what this looks like. Without a list, obviously, it's hard to judge. On the concept, it seems like this is going to be the dirtliest.
I mean, just stop and think. All the creatures are legendary. So what are the aggressive decks going to look like?
Zurgo. Isamaru.
So red-white.
Kytheon.
And what's the red... What's a red-white legend? Are there any?
I mean, some...
Iroas.
Yeah.
He's not attacking.
What's the Theros one? It's like Anax and Cymede or whatever. With the 3/2. throw. Can you get your guys?
Oh yeah, that is a magic card, I guess. All right, so there we go. We've got
the whole deck.
We've got the shell.
We've got the shell.
We've got a 1-drop, a 2-drop, and a 3-drop.
Yeah, we're done. We're at the bucket. So anyway, so it'll be interesting once that comes out. Maybe we'll have some more to talk about it then. What else were we going to talk about? Oh. So there's a line in our show notes that Tristan sent to me earlier, and it just says, "The Morphs are back in town?" ? And I'm very curious to see what Morphs are back in what town and why it's... So you're going to have to set this whole thing up for me, because I don't know what we're talking about.
In the past, we have had a decent number of Morphs in the cube. I think when... probably in the second or third iteration of Cube, when I was trying to really flush out its identity, and again, power level of cards are much lower back then. We had some fun with Morphs, and it was fun. We've drafted a ton of Onslaught, a ton of Time Spiral, so it was easier for us to adapt to those things. As time went on, pre-Cons block, Morphs, they were getting outclassed. It's like those cards ever got better, just creatures got better in general. So almost all of them made their way out. I think at one point they might have all made their way out with the sad passing of Blistering Firecat. But with the resurgence of cards from Dragons being good Morphs, I've been more interested in trying to add some of those cards back in, keep it interesting, get at least like one more for each color, get a little bit of surprise going on instead of the days where it's like, yeah, that's the Whipcorder, or that's the Grim Haruspex. Yeah, we get it. You
gotta have at least a couple in each color if you're gonna do it. If you're interested in like the deception value,
maybe. But here's
like you would always just play Exalted because like fuck it, that card's just good.
Yeah, white was the longest holdout where it was like Exalted Angel and Whipcorder. So like for a split second, you're like, oh, who's it gonna be?
Which one is it gonna be?
Then you're like, oh, I used my good kill spell on your Whipcorder. Oh. Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure exactly how it's going to pan out, because the problem now is when you have a lot of new players walk up to draft your cube that you're trying to lay the ground rules for people, and this is true about many people, many scenarios when drafting cubes. You want people to be comfortable, you want them to be seemingly knowledgeable, to be able to sit down, not have to read the manual that comes with your box to feel confident in being able to draft it. And obviously morph creatures can be a big barrier there.
Right, because if people don't know your list,
and you can't fault them for that. And the last thing they want to do is feel like, well, I'm never going to come back to this because I don't know.
So your opponent goes morph, and you're like, well,
fuck.
That could be literally 200 creatures or whatever. That's I don't know.
185, but really, how many of them?
Right, but it's like it could be anything. It could be a boat. It's like so that level of deception. I feel like morphs are good for people who are, if you have a regular crew of people who know the list, always draft with you. It's the same people in and out. They know the list. They keep up to date with it. Then it's one thing. But if you're like routinely drafting at a store with random people in and out, people don't keep up on the list, they're not regulars, whatever, Morph is a lot more awkward there because hey, you never want to hear the question like, hey, what morphs are in your queue?
Right. That isn't always an awkward one.
Because then a lot of times you'll just inevitably give up the game,
right?
The deception game, by telling them the morphs. They'll be like, oh, well, he can only ever have this one because it's given his deck, and that's kind of lame.
Mm-hmm.
That said, the morphs that are just kind of like good value guys,
and that's really what the question are. We know which ones are there. Was we
Den Protector?
Okay, agree.
I like Grim Haruspex.
Agree.
I like Exalted.
Agree.
I mean,
agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Firecat, I guess.
I agree. Agree.
I like what's his face? Strash Dancer's okay.
You championed that card and constructed for a while.
I do like it.
Again, if it wasn't a blue creature, it would be so much easier.
I do. It's like I like it, but I don't. It's not great. I like. You champion Irish Shaman.
Yes, I do. I also like Dwarven Blast Miner and
Rattleclaw Mystic can be okay.
Yeah.
It's very explosive.
Yeah. Not only that, but it's also a great one to be deceptive with.
Yes.
That is one of the few shell game morph creatures you can still have in this day and age, because as a 2-drop, it's very effective, it gets a job done. As a morph into an explosion of mana, it can be good, and then late in the game, it's always like, oh shit, what is that?
Right, because you're like, I don't care about the mana, so I might as well play this as a Grey Ogre.
Yeah.
So, like, Rouse Mystic is fine. If this was like a million years ago, I would say, like, Wall of Deceit. But,
right, when damage stacked and cards were bad.
Yeah, like I said,
we don't live in that time anymore.
Yeah, I know.
So I've been kicking around the idea of at least adding 1 of each color. Trying to add 2 of each color would be great, but is the quality really there? Probably not, which is a little frustrating. I think with white, Exalted Whipcorder are still kind of the standbys. People do talk about Hidden Dragon Slayer. That card's not bad. I had forgotten forever it had lifelink.
Oh, yeah. It's little bonus text.
Yeah, for black, the Silumgar's Crusader... Assassin, that guy's okay.
It's pretty... That card's pretty bad. Like,
it's not in the cube, and it never had been.
It's like an expensive smother.
Right.
And then, like...
But the Megamorph side is like, whatever, anyway. So, then there's, like, Bane of the Living and Grim Specs.
Right. Bane of the Living's fine. Grim Specs is fine.
Blue feels like it's
Zombie Cutthroat. I mean, again, we're talking about back in the day of when cards were bad.
I was talking about if you were to do them today, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. What's the...
Skin Render?
No,
Skin Thinner.
Skin Thinner?
Yeah. What about it? That card costs $1 billion.
I know.
It's like it was awesome with Cruel Revival.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's gross.
Red, we talked about. I mean, I am also like the trolley kind of guy where I would put in Fortune Thief.
Right, I think Fortune Thief is a fun one to put in, just again for like the surprise factor. No, but that's another thing where it's like, if some random person sits down at your
it's
cube,
mono feel bads,
and you get blown out by.
And let's be honest, that card is not good.
Yeah, Willbender.
Willbender's That's talk about swingy Magic cards.
Yeah. Void Mage. Diaper Kai.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I've actually kind of had success with that card in prior MTGO cube iterations.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Well, I mean, wasn't Thassa in there? Thassa's in their cube.
Yeah.
So
is Thassa a wizard?
No, but blue.
Oh, okay. Well, like the good blue creatures happen to be wizards.
Yeah.
Snapcaster back something, sack it to Void Mage. Oh. You can go balls deep. Corpse Dance your Snapcaster, sack it to Kai. You only need 10 mana, and you've pretty much got the game on lock.
So anyway,
if you go to my current maybes list, I just put up some cards that I'm interested in changing. We'll probably need to change this on the fly because we're going to add in your boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead. Let me take care of this situation.
I'm gonna do it in color order. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, screw you.
Thanks. And you gotta do it the other way around. You gotta pick what's coming out and then put the arrow towards what's about to become.
Oh well, we're just on. This is maybes, right?
Oh well, this was like a guarantee. This was like you want to like lock it in stone, like lock it up.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm saying, you're doing it the wrong way. You gotta put the arrow behind it.
Oh, I get what you're doing.
There you go. Yeah. No.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay. So this is like a short list of maybes. Again, we were talking about Morphs, Exalted Angel, Stratus Dancer, Den Protector. These are cards that are on the maybes list, kind of for the general, like, if we're going to go a little more morphy, these are cards that would work with that.
I'm interested in it.
Whisperwood is also just like a sweet value guy.
Yeah, I like that card. I feel like we could find a spot for it.
Yeah. It's very mid-rangey, which green doesn't really do as much anymore, but it's so value.
And protects your guys. It's like this anti-wrath protection on your board full of elves.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't sound too jazzed about it.
It's just slow, like for a cube format. I mean,
Whispered Elemental is just too slow.
It's just clunky. Like, this is the format where it's going to be easiest to kill.
Yeah.
Like right away before you even get a manifest.
Okay. Yeah.
And like it's just like it's a 5-drop that doesn't. I don't know. It's fine. Don't get me wrong. It's fine. I'm not like 100% on it for cube. I think the card's good, but I'm not like this. I'm not windmill slamming it.
All right. Well, let's we've got a little more time on the show, which we were not expecting. Let's dig a little deeper on this. That's what I say. Let's go to that visual spoiler. Let's hash it out old school, the way we used to on this show all the time. once X done telling people about SummerSlam plans.
Yeah. We actually are running a little short on time, but anyway. Alright.
White. So in white, if you head down to the fatty
fataroo.
Oh, that's what you know what it was? I was thinking Solus Theros might be getting the axe.
Yeah, that card is surprisingly meh.
Surprisingly expensive to activate.
Yeah. I never see that card get activated, basically. Unless you're, like, going infinite or something. How do you feel about quasi-troll cards like Chromanticore not worth the spot I'm using to include? I mean... Okay. If I want troll cards, I want, like, story...
Story trolling?
Like the Raging Cougar that you have the art for and stuff like that. Or, like, the Majoring Bully because of the story. Or, like, the Oof Vandals with the she written on it.
Right. Inside joke kind of
Inside jokes are fine. If
I was going to go down that road, I would just put Sliver Queen back in.
Right.
I love me a Sliver Queen.
Right. So, like, I think it's much funner to have, like, oh, why is this in your cube? Oh, well, this one time at this thing or whatever, like, oh, it's hilarious. You gotta be there. Are better than, like, well, it's in the cube because it's bad and that therefore it's funny.
Right. And if I was going to do that, I would just put an actual Hill Giant in the cube. And the goal would be to win the game by dealing 20 points with Hill Giant.
Right.
But, I mean, that would be, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So, Exalted Angel, Soul Theros, Exalted Angel, you like that swap?
Buy with that.
Alright.
I mean, Soul Theros is just such a meh.
It was just a surprising disappointment in terms of, like, its cost.
Yeah.
We're gonna hit a wall here. Stratus Dancer. What would we cut for Stratus Dancer?
Oh, God.
I know, right? We already don't play all the fun blue aggro creatures I wish I was playing.
I mean... Now is the time on Sprockets where I say Azure Mage and then you yell at me.
I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm just gonna be like, oh, me so sad.
I mean, I think that's what it is.
And there aren't even any other options, right? Like,
right. All these cards are insane.
Icefall Regent?
Maybe. No, that card's also very good.
I like Icefall Regent.
I do too. I think it's Azure Mage, if it's anything.
Snapping Turtle?
What? Oh, Big Snaps? No, hell no.
I love Big Snaps.
Big Snaps is great.
All right, just checking. Just checking. I do love Calcite Snapper.
Somebody else said it in chat. Calcite Snapper. Lock it up. There are a lot more cards I would cut before I cut the Calcite Snapper. I love that card. It's Azure Mage, though.
I mean, you're the one that champions the Stratus Dancer.
I'd like to try it.
You want to give it a shot? All right, let's give it a shot.
I'd like to try it.
Let's add some fucking morphs to the fucking cube.
Oh, easy. Easy, boss. Alright.
Black? Is there anything in black? I didn't even put anything in there.
Oh, we already have Harrispecs.
We do have Harrispecs. Did you want to add Bane back? I mean, I don't know if...
I don't know. I mean, I haven't thought enough about it. I think we're fine.
He's not very good, Mr. Wayne.
Quite a treasure there, that Roderick Q. Alright, what else?
Well, you got the red.
Oh, so we gotta get to green. Goddamn. Wispy. So Wispy and Den Protector.
I was thinking about Lotus Cobra finally getting the axe.
Oh, what? Lotus Cobra's so fun. The issue. So someone brought up in the chat. Brought up Sagu Mauler. Blue green is a lot harder. Like the multicolored sections are pretty small, so they're much harder to get into than the like.
I mean, we can take a look at it.
I mean, we'll look it up, but I doubt it's gonna make it. Don't bring up his Juzim. It's his sore spot. His butt gets hurt whenever you suggest that.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a selling point for that card where it's just like, it's been a good run, but I will accept so many X dollars to not have it anymore.
I could see cutting Deadbridge Goliath.
Yeah.
For Whisperwood.
Yeah.
How does Deadbridge Goliath keep getting worse?
he is the Mel.
That card constantly gets. I feel like I cut that card every time. I don't understand. It keeps like sneaking its way back in.
He is the Mel Gibson of the cube.
How does Mel Gibson keep getting worse? I mean, I want to cut Titania for literally anything.
Oh, see, that was the irony. Is
that card is so fucking
I thought that was the card you were going to come after.
Well, the only reason I came after Deadbridge is because it's cheaper, so I saw it first. But please, God, can we cut Titania?
I love Titania.
It's so fucking bad.
It's not that bad.
It's terrible. When has either side of this ever happened?
I've done and seen both.
I don't believe you. I don't.
Fine, cut it.
It's
fine.
definitely
fine.
Oh, don't sound so. You know it's good bad.
Protector of Argoth.
Oh, God. Even our name's stupid. And we're done.
Why do you have, if you're not...
Stomp Howler over Conclave Naturalist.
Why? What? Why? Because it's a May or something?
Yeah, it's a May. It's just the same card, but it's a...
Can it hit your own?
What? Conclave Naturalist?
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. That's a good question.
Oh, trolled.
Yeah, get trolled. Okay. Yeah, you can hit your own.
You can hit your own?
It's just a Dryad instead of a Beast, and it's a May.
Oh, okay. Put that on there.
That's a... Yeah. That's more of an oversight than anything else.
Yeah, I thought it was one of those things where you couldn't hit your own. And if you couldn't hit your own...
I mean, that does come up sometimes.
Agreed. Wait, what? Wait, okay, what?
I think that's everything.
I don't know, I'm not feeling Lotus Cobra.
I love Lotus Cobra. Lotus Cobra is so fun.
Does it? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, how many games where it's like, oh man, I like did all kinds of crazy rapey shit, and it's just like, ah! Like, fetch lands, it's fun.
All right. Were there any other morphs? Oh, we're gonna look at multicolor cards.
Oh, yeah. Green, blue specifically?
Yeah.
For Sagu Miggity Mauler. These all look good.
Yeah.
Kiora's kind of meh.
I always have a take it or leave it attitude towards Coiling Oracle. You know me.
I love that card, though.
I know you do.
It's so weird that you don't. Because, like, it screams you.
It screams the value?
It's value that doesn't do anything. Like, that's like if you could get a tattoo of your Magic style, that was what it would say. Dirtle life. You know, just like right across your chest.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm pretty low on Kiora, but she's still fine.
Yep. She's still fine.
I'm not...
You know who's been slowly slowly waning in his days, though, is Dragon Predator. He's still good, though.
He's still good. You can't cut that card.
No. Are there any other morphs we're overlooking that are good in Constructed Magic or borderline Constructed Magic?
Well, I mean, here we can just do this.
Is that going to work?
Oh, yeah.
Did you need to add also Megamorph?
No, because it's part of the word morph.
Alright.
So you get Megamorph.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
These all look horrible.
Those are awful. We've started strong.
Boy. I forgot how bad most morphs are.
Yeah.
There's a reason this Lumen Thread Field, Master of Pearls, God. A Feto Alchemist. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, there's that one card that was printed in a Commander's set.
Echo Tracer.
So expensive.
I know. Oh god.
Yeah, I don't know how blue is gonna have a single chance here.
Maelstrom Vision?
That card's not good.
Morphling? Quicksilver Dragon?
I miss the days when Quicksilver Dragon was a magic card.
Raven Guild Master?
That is a fucking...
Riptide Pilferer?
That was a magic card once.
Shape Parasite?
Popper Cube.
Riptide Survivor?
We used to play that card.
Short Crash Elemental?
I don't think so. Shapeshifters. That's an actual magic card.
Shapeshifter, sure. Wall of Deceit, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. And Kai.
Yeah. Willbender. I mean, Willbender is close. Willbender is close. It's very swingy, but you know. Big Banes. A Feto Exterminator. Grinding Demon.
Sweet.
Remember Grinding Demon?
Yeah, sweet art on Grim Haruspecs.
Oh, yeah, that's weird. Headhunter.
Ah.
Oh god, all these cards are so bad. Putrid Raptor is right. Silent Spectre. I mean, Silent Spectre was in for a while.
Yeah, it was.
God, Soul Collector. I remember that card.
Yeah.
Zombie
There's
Cutthroat.
your Zombie Cutthroat.
Zombie Cutthroat was in for a long time.
Is there a world where we could actually play Zombie Cutthroat? I'd be really surprised.
Ash Cloud Phoenix is not like horrible. It's a red 4-drop though. It's kind of like
It's more.
It's also not really a morph. It's
right.
like reverse.
Yeah.
A Chroma, it's fine. Mostly because it's going to get cast face up almost all the time. Gath and Raiders has been in plenty.
Yeah. Still not a fan though.
Fortune Thief for the lulz.
Oh, so many lulz.
Dwarven Blast Miner.
I like that guy a lot.
Although, why does that card have morph?
So that it's not awful. The card would not be great sometimes.
Yeah. Skirt Commando. Skirt Marauder? Same card?
No. Very different card.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like... Unstable Hulk. The Hulk. You skip your next turn.
Yeah, you only unmorph it when you're going to kill them.
Yeah. Onyx Survivalist is okay.
I agree.
Death Mist Raptor? We're going deep?
So deep.
Yeah. I remember Broodhash Nantuko.
Yeah.
Histrodon's been in plenty.
Yeah.
Metamorphosis?
It's just reliving Onslaught Draft.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks.
What does Ice Feather Haven do? You may return a creature to its owner's hand when it's turned face up.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty sweet.
Wet Wheel. Zoetic Cavern.
Right.
I mean, Zoetic Cavern, right?
You just play Ponyback Brigade.
YOLO.
I like that card a lot.
The pony. So anyway.
Ice Feather Haven.
I think you'd play Saga Miller before that, but I don't think you're playing either.
No, so I think we're done here.
Yeah. We're coming up right on the 2-hour mark, so that's perfect.
Yeah, that's what we shoot for. We gotta get ready for SummerSlam.
We are slamming the summer.
Check on the baseball scores.
Go to the grocery store. A lot to do.
Be adults. There you have it. Thanks everyone for tuning in or listening after the fact. Make sure you pester us with feedback so that we do this more than once a year.
Yeah, the more angry tweets I get about when we're doing another show, the more likely I am to say, alright, fine, we'll do one.
Yeah, you just got a glimpse into X's personal life. That's how he responds to things.
Angry tweeting.
So until then, check us out on ekamon.blogspot.com to find all of our cube resources, the Skeleton Cube list for 2015, the cube list on Google Docs, as well as the Cube Tutor link. Check out the list on Cube Tutor. I do get a lot of questions where it's like, oh, how is Storm working Cube? We like things like that.
And now you know.
Our list is pretty accurate for that these days. I like it a lot. Congratulations to the team of Nas Party and
Jacob
Wilson on their win.
That was
Sam's
awesome.
still here.
Congrats to Nathan Holliday for hitting platinum.
Yeah,
also a former guest of the show.
Yeah, a lot of locals. A lot of guys have been on the show. I'm sure it's days now before Michael Boland is also joining those guys in the land of too much Magic the Gathering playing.
Yeah.
So until then, thank you guys very much. You know how to find us on Twitter at Young Mecha. He's the guy you have to scream at angrily.
And at Tristan Gregson, who you can just complain at in general.
Yep, that's how I do it.
Yep.
Until then,